the 3 steps to Mumstoppable confidence. Now, the way you can remember this is ABC. So we're going to start with A, obviously. A, the first step is act as if. Act as if. Now, this is such an important step because it's made of 2 parts, right? So the first thing is about acting, taking action. Because without taking action, nothing in your life is going to change. Okay, you're going to be stuck in your comfort zone. You're not learning, you're not growing, you're stuck. And in taking action, you are actively moving elsewhere, right? You're moving probably out of your comfort zone, and thus you're learning and growing as a person and in confidence. You're moving forwards. But acting as if it's a step further than just taking action, right? Acting as if means acting as if you have already achieved whatever it is that you want to achieve. Okay, it's acting as if you are a huge success.
Well, hello everyone. I am so happy to be here today with Carly. When I got her application, I was, oh my God, this is so amazing. I really need to have you. Because I remember the time when I was a stay-at-home mom, and then when I wanted to go back to a job, I had no idea what I could do, what I wanted to do. I had no idea what I like, because all I did was to focus on my kids. I really enjoyed that. It was my decision, my choice. But then when they were a little bit older and we put them into a daycare to be surrounded by other kids so they can socialize with kids their age, I suddenly found myself without a purpose. So it was a really, really hard time for me. And this is why I was so happy to connect with you and to have you today share us your 3 steps to becoming an unstoppable mom, because it's so important for us to do something that really fulfills us as a woman, as a person, as a human being, besides being a mom, even though we enjoy this role so much. So, welcome, Carly. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, how you started your business, and then please teach us the 3 steps to becoming an unstoppable mom.
Thank you so much. I'm just sat here nodding because everything you're saying really resonates with me. So I'm Carly. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I've been so excited this week to be on here. So thank you. I'm a mum of 2. So I've got 2 boys, one of whom just turned 10 years old last week. So that's flown by. And I'm also a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, and I'm the founder of Mumstoppable. So a bit of a backstory about why I set up my business. So very similar to you, when I had my first baby 10 years ago, I found it really hard, but loved it, didn't like bits of it, but I was solely focused on being a mum, as I think most first time mums are. And there was a particular moment where I think my baby was like about 6 months old, let's say. And I booked a beauty appointment. I think I was getting my eyebrows done or something as a treat. And it was the first time I was going to be away from the baby in 6 months. I've just been with him constantly. And I remember driving to the appointment. I parked my car and suddenly I had a panic attack because I was like, I don't know who I am. I don't have my baby. I'm not mum right now. Who am I? I could not even open the door and walk across the road to the beauty appointment. I couldn't do it because I did not have a clue who I was in that moment. It was bizarre. And what that stems from is a loss of identity, but also I had no confidence whatsoever in myself. I had nothing. I felt like I was a shell of a woman who didn't know who I was anymore. It gives me goosebumps even now. And this is 10 years ago, but it's happened since then as well. Unfortunately, I don't think it just happens once. It happens over various stages of our lives. So, for example, what you were saying, when I went back to work, I had it again. I had a bit of a lack of confidence in terms of what am I doing? I'd done these jobs before kids. I had a great career before kids, but I had my babies, and when they were going to school for the first time, I wanted to get back into my career, and I got a promotion. And I just couldn't bring myself to be confident in the role, even though I'd done the same role, the exact same role before kids. And people were telling me that I was going to do a great job. Just in myself, I'd lost that spark. I just couldn't find it again. And one thing I wanted to say to everyone who's watching is that this is a really common thing that people don't talk about. Mums don't talk about this stuff. But there's an app called Peanuts, and it's an app where hopefully people have heard of it, but you can connect to other mums. It's like a community app. And they released a brilliant report in September last year called The State of Invisibility. And in that, they found that 72% of UK mums feel invisible. And more than that, they found that of the mums they surveyed in the UK, 93% said that since they became a mum, their pre-baby identity had felt minimized to one identity, which was mum. So they felt like they were mum and nothing else, which I just think is shocking. Like, that's 93% of UK mums. But it also gives me hope because it means that you're not alone. Although you feel completely alone in those moments, actually there are so many other mums who feel the same. We just don't talk about it. So the reason I started Mumstoppable was that I believe that every mum has the potential to rediscover her inner confidence and to transform her life and to feel mumstoppable, right? Which is obviously a play on the word unstoppable and mum. And by joining this mini workshop, everyone that's listening here is taking that first step to really building that inner confidence again. So what I hope to give in the next kind of 20 odd minutes is really tangible, actionable steps that people can take into this afternoon, take the steps and start instantly to start feeling more confident. So I'm going to teach you a couple of things. So the first thing is, what is confidence? Because I'm sure most people watching this will have a good idea about what confidence is, but I'm going to hopefully challenge that thinking. And then I'm going to move on to my 3 steps to Mumstoppable confidence. I do have a confession to make first, though. So when I said I was going to come on and do this mini workshop, Nina did say that slides might be a good idea. However, one of the things that is my values for Mumstoppable is I want to make this support accessible for all mums. So one of the things that I do that with is that a lot of my content is audio only. I very rarely do video content. And that's because I know that mums are so busy multitasking, right? So often people are listening to my content while they're doing other things, and that's totally fine. And then I was thinking about, even when I'm sat, I'm in my office at the moment, I'm not being a mum at all, I'm being business Carly. Even when I'm engaging with content like this, I will be doing emails on the side, I'll be doing other stuff and listening. So I wanted to say, first of all, if you're doing that and you're listening, it's totally fine. You don't need to look at the screen, listen in, and you'll hopefully get everything that you need from this. I'm all about the multitasking, so don't worry. So first thing is, what is confidence then? So before we talk about what confidence is, I wanted to address some misconceptions of confidence, because there are a few things that people think confidence is, which actually isn't. So the first thing is, confidence is not bravado. They're 2 different things. So a lot of people believe that to be confident, you have to be extrovert, you have to be loud. And if you're an introvert, you can't be confident. It's just not a thing. That's not true, right? I am inherently an introvert. I love doing things like this, but I find it very draining to be in social situations. So after I've done things like this, I'll have to spend time replenishing my energy being alone and just having quiet time. But also, when I kind of talk to people, they will say that I come across as being very confident. So I'm living proof that you can be an introvert and you can also be confident. And the reason for that is that if you think about it, when you are confident, you've got nothing to prove. So there's no need for the bravado, for the loudness, for the cockiness. And that's actually why, if you look at a room full of people in a meeting, for example, often the most confident people are the quietest ones in the room, not the loudest. And if you think about that, it's genuinely really true. So confidence is not bravado. That's the first thing. The second thing is, some people think being confident means succeeding all the time. And that's not true. Okay. There's a woman called Mel Robbins, who hopefully lots of you have heard of. She's a life coach and she has a brilliant podcast. And when she talks about confidence, says confidence isn't built in times of success. Confidence is built in the fires of failure. And when you again think about that, it's so true, because when you try to do something, you attempt to do something and you fail, you learn from it. And then when you do that thing again, you do it a bit better. You might fail again, but you've learned more. And then you do it again. And each time you're doing it and you're failing and learning, you're getting better and better. And as you're getting better, you're growing your confidence, right? So the confidence comes from the failures. It doesn't come from when you go in and do something brilliantly. That's not how it works. The next thing is, people think that confidence is about never doubting yourself. And this is really important because we all have doubts, right? It's totally normal. We're humans. You're going to doubt yourself. You can't be good at everything instantly. The real key to confidence, though, is acknowledging those doubts, let them come into your head, but then let them go out again and carry on, press on anyway. Confidence, you're not born with confidence. So going back to this idea about being an introvert, we're not born as babies with confidence, right? You have to learn it. So that means that confidence is a skill that you can learn. And once you've learned that skill, it doesn't go away. You can pull on it whenever you want to. So I'm going to go back to Mel Robbins again. I love Mel. And I was listening to a few of her confidence podcasts and talks, and she has a definition of what confidence is. And she talks about confidence as being not a feeling, although you can associate feelings with confidence. Confidence itself is not a feeling, she says. She says confidence is a willingness to try something before you feel ready. And I love that definition so much, because the willingness to try something before you're ready means you're willing to try it and fail. You're risking failure in order to learn and get better at something and then become more confident, right? So it's a whole cycle. And I just absolutely love that. So I'm going to also read you a quote now, which I absolutely love. So this is by Bo Taplin, who's an author. And he says, "She was unstoppable, not because she did not have failures or doubts, but because she continued on despite them." And this, for me, it encapsulates what Mumstoppable to me is all about. It's about knowing that you're going to fail at things and you're going to have doubts. It's human nature. But being unstoppable and being confident is about knowing that and carrying on through the failures and learning and failing again, and showing that your kids that it's okay to fail. It's the trying and the willingness to try and go out and being brave. That's what's important. That's what being unstoppable is about. And that's how I try to live my life, both my personal life and also my business life as well. So before we move on to the 3 steps of Mumstoppable confidence, I wanted to give you an example of this in real life, in my real life. So Mumstoppable was started in November last year, so it's fairly new. And as part of Mumstoppable, when I was thinking about the business idea, I'm a qualified coach, so I knew it was going to be about coaching, but I suddenly decided I wanted to start a podcast. And it's in my nature to try things, even if I'm going to potentially fail. Okay, so I didn't know anything about podcasts. I had no equipment, no idea how to upload a podcast, edit it, literally nothing, no experience whatsoever. And I had launched my podcast within 2 weeks of having the idea, because I was willing to try and fail. I knew that the first couple of episodes were not going to be great. They weren't going to be perfect, but I knew I'd get feedback and I'd learn from them, and I wouldn't take the feedback personally. I'd use it as a growth opportunity. So now I'm 13 episodes in. It's a weekly podcast, and still it's not perfect. None of my episodes are perfect, but I love doing them, and I love the learning. And every time I do an episode, I become more confident. So that's just living proof about how this whole concept works. Okay, so we're going to move on now to the 3 steps to Mumstoppable confidence. Now, the way you can remember this is ABC. So we're going to start with A, obviously. A, the first step is act as if. Act as if. Now, this is such an important step because it's made of 2 parts, right? So the first thing is about acting, taking action. Because without taking action, nothing in your life is going to change. Okay, you're going to be stuck in your comfort zone. You're not learning, you're not growing, you're stuck. And in taking action, you are actively moving elsewhere, right? You're moving probably out of your comfort zone, and thus you're learning and growing as a person and in confidence. You're moving forwards. But acting as if it's a step further than just taking action, right? Acting as if means acting as if you have already achieved whatever it is that you want to achieve. Okay, it's acting as if you are a huge success. Now, I want to tell a quick story here, and I'm really annoyed because I heard this on a podcast. I love podcasts, obviously, but I can't find the exact reference, so I'm probably going to get some details wrong, but the sentiment is there. So there is a story about a salesman who decides one day that he would like, in a year's time, his goal is to win the top salesman award, okay, in whatever industry it was. I can't remember what it was. And he decides that's his goal for the next 12 months. And he talks to his mentor about it. And his mentor is talking about this notion of acting as if you're already there. Okay. Now, the guy is trying to manifest this goal. And the first action he takes is he goes out and he buys himself a pair of overalls. Like, that's what he's works in. That's his trade kind of uniform. But he brands them with his business, right? So he's acting, he's gone out and bought these expensive branded overalls so that he looks, when he turns up at someone's door to sell, he looks like a professional. He's got his business logo on him and he looks the part. That is one tiny, tiny action that this guy took to acting as if he'd already won the award. And then 12 months down the line, after lots of these actions, he won the awards. And he didn't just win it, he smashed it. He broke records with his sales. And he attributes a lot of that to acting as if he'd already got there. From day one, he was taking action and acting as if he'd got there already. It's so powerful. So I'm going to give you a couple of ways that you can think about acting as if. And there are two different options. You can use either of them depending on what sort of person you are. So the first one is visualization, which I personally love. I love visualizing things. Again, I find it so powerful and helpful. And I'm going to talk you through how you can do that. But if you're not into visualization, I get it. A lot of my clients are not. And I've got a second option for you. So in terms of visualization, it's not as simple as sitting down and thinking about whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. Okay. So in this example, I'm going to give you a scenario. So let's say I want to succeed and be confident in a talk that I'm doing. I'm going to give a talk to a huge amount of people in a big auditorium. It's super scary. I've never done it before. So that's what my thing is, my scary thing. So visualizing for me for this might look like me sitting, finding somewhere that's quiet, which I know is easier said than done as a mum, but hopefully you can find half an hour just to sit somewhere where you can be alone and not be interrupted. Now, what I would do is I would then try to find some music that I want to associate with the success that I'm going to have. Okay. So a really inspiring, motivating song. It might be my favorite song. If you are stuck for inspiration, go on Spotify and search for Mumstoppable. And I've got a playlist on there of loads of generally female artists, inspirational, motivational songs. So have a look there. So I would sit somewhere, put that song on in my headphones. I might light a candle, a scented candle. So I've got loads of scented candles that just evoke my senses. The idea here is that I'm trying to use all of my senses to create a real vivid picture of what's happening. So I might light a candle, or I might put on a specific perfume that I am going to wear during the talk. Okay, so I'm going to sit and then I'm going to think through all of the details of the scary thing. But more than that, I'm actually going to think through the lead up to the scary thing as well. So for example, I might, in this example of the talk, I might think about on the day, getting ready. What am I going to wear on the day? What am I going to wear and how's it going to make me feel? What colors am I going to wear? I'm going to think about getting in my car, turning on my radio, and this song that I'm listening to coming on the radio. Okay, and it's playing. I'm going to turn it up really loud because it's my favorite song. And I'm going to sing that song all the way to the place where I'm going. I'm going to visualize getting to the place and finding the perfect parking spot, right? Like the ideal spot right outside the door is mine. Pull up, park my car. I'm going to get out the car and then I'm going to think through walking into the auditorium and checking out the venue. And what does it look like? What all the tiny details? How many seats are there? Is there that musty feeling of some auditoriums, or does it smell new? Is it dark? Is it light? How does it feel to be in there? Is there an atmosphere? I'm going to visualize going backstage and putting on my headset. And then I'm going to visualize kind of standing backstage and peeking around the corner and listening. So what can I hear? Is there like a buzz? Is the audience chatting? What are they wearing? Is it dark in the auditorium? Like, what? I'm going to try to use all of my senses again to visualize every detail of the situation. And then I'm going to visualize walking onto the stage and giving my talk, and giving a kick-ass talk, actually. And I'm going to finish it. I'm going to get a massive round of applause and maybe everyone will stand up. And then I'm going to come off stage and I'm going to visualize the conversations I have with people afterwards, and then telling me how amazing it was and how helpful it was and what a great job I've done. Okay. That's the level of detail that you need to go into when you are doing a visualization. And it might take you 20, 30 minutes. It should be a long, detailed thing. Now, once you've done that, I want you to commit to doing that repeatedly. Okay, so I might do that visualization. It will take me a while to come up with it at the start, but then I might do that every day in the week leading up to the thing, the scary talk. Okay. Now on the day, I'm going to get dressed into that outfit that I visualized. I'm going to put that perfume on. I'm going to go and sit in my car and I'm going to turn that song on. And all of those things, they're cues to your brain that you are going to have this huge successful event because that song's come on and you can smell that perfume and you're wearing the outfit and you know how you feel in your body because you've already felt it in the lead up. Now, all of these things are so powerful because, again, your brain is just in the moment, it's thinking, this is what's happening. And you're putting that energy out into the universe. And the energy that you put out, you're going to get back. So that is an example, a very quick example of visualization. Now, I understand again that visualization is not for everybody, but there is a second option, which is also fun. And that is creating an alter ego for yourself. So for some people, it's really hard to visualize yourself in that moment, in that scary situation, but it's much easier for you to give yourself an alter ego. But the key here is to be very detailed, give that alter ego a name. And in this example, think about Beyonce. So Beyonce inherently is a quiet person. She's an introvert, but she has an alter ego called Sasha Fierce. I'm guessing everyone knows this. And when she's on stage, the big personality and the big dance moves and that confidence that we see, that's not Beyonce, that's Sasha Fierce on the stage, okay? And you can use that alter ego to project your confidence, okay? So if I was going into that talk and I had my alter ego, it would be her going onto the stage and giving that talk. And that's less scary for my brain to understand, right? Because it's not me going in there, it's this other person. So again, that's a really fun way to act as if, okay? So that's the first step, act as if. The second two steps are shorter, so we're getting there. Second step B is be willing to try and fail. Now, this is the absolute key to building confidence because we've talked through this already. It's within the definition, right? Confidence at its core is a willingness to try before you feel ready. So if you can embody that mindset of being willing to give it a go, of feeling the fear and doing it anyway, you are halfway there. You're building confidence. So be willing to try and fail, okay? And remember, confidence is built in the fires of failure. It doesn't matter if you fail, it's good, it's learning. The third step then, C, is for courage. Now, obviously, being confident and doing all the things we've talked about, you need courage to do those, right? You need to be brave. And that means you've got to find that courage really deep down inside you and grab hold of it and don't let it go. And that courage is going to be the thing that helps you override those feelings of self-doubt. It's going to be the thing that gets you through, that gets you in the door to go do that thing in the first place. However, I know that it's easy for me to sit here and say you need to be brave and go and do that scary thing. But that's why I have a tool that I want to talk you through now. And it's a tool that's, again, really fun. And it's one that you can teach your kids. So I've taught my kids this tool and we all find it really useful. I use it, they use it. It's really fun. And it's this. So next time you are afraid of trying something, let's use a different example. Let's say I'm going to the gym and I'm going to go and try a new fitness class. And it's a dance class. I've never done it before. Don't know anybody at the gym. It's super scary. And I'm stood outside the class. Now, there will be a moment where I am about to turn around and go home because I'm just don't want to do this. Don't want to put myself out there. Don't want to look like an idiot. I don't want to fail. Well, when that happens and that self-doubt creeps in, all you need to do is acknowledge it. Okay, so that's the first thing. Acknowledge that that's self-doubt creeping in. That's not you. That's your self-doubt. Okay, acknowledge it. And then immediately, I want you to say in your head or out loud the word 10. 10. And then I want you to count down 9, 8, 7, all the way to 1. Okay, when you get to 1, you are going to go in and do that scary thing. You're going to go into that room and you're going to do the dance class. Now, how this works psychologically is when you say the word 10, and whether it's in your head or out loud, you're telling your brain, yes, I felt that fear, but I've decided I'm going to do that thing when we get to 1 and you're not going to stop me. So you've got 10 seconds to calm down and then we're going to go and do that thing. We're going to be confident and we're going to go and do it. And if we fail, we fail. So just that simple act of counting down from 10 is you giving your brain a chance to flip itself around because you're saying, I'm going to go do this thing. And there's no choice about it. When we get to 1, we're going in. It's a really tiny thing, but it really works. So try it next time you feel freaked out about something. Just count down from 10. And I promise you, you'll feel braver at the end of it. So I wanted to bring another quote now. And this is from a really good movie called I Bought a Zoo. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. I watch it quite often. It's got Matt Damon in, and he plays a guy called Benjamin Mee. it's based on a true story as well, and it's just incredible. So Benjamin Mee is a widower. I'm not going to give away the whole movie, but he basically is trying to set up a new life for him and his kids because his wife has passed. And at one point in the movie, he's talking to his son, who is like 11 or 12. And he says this. So he says, you know, sometimes all you need is 20 seconds of insane courage, just literally 20 seconds of just embarrassing bravery. And I promise you, something great will come of it. And he's so right. That's such a wise thing to say, right? Because it's like that counting down from 10 thing. All you need is 20 seconds of being brave enough to go and do the thing and risk failure. And you're halfway there to building courage and building confidence. Because confidence, as we have said, is about being willing to go and try despite not feeling ready. It's about going and trying the thing, even though you might fail, even though you might look like an idiot. But that's what confidence is. And it stems from courage. So the ABC, the 3 steps to Mumstoppable confidence, again, act as if you're already there, as if you're already succeeding. Be willing to try and fail. And C is courage. Find that courage. Use the counting down from 10 if you need to, because literally 20 seconds of embarrassing bravery will be amazing. It can be life-changing, right? If you do something massive and scary and succeed, it can be life-changing. So that's my 3 steps to Mumstoppable confidence. Before I finish, I want to set a bit of a challenge, like a coaching challenge. And that's, what's one thing that you can try today before you feel ready? What can you try this afternoon to feel Mumstoppable? What's that scary thing that you can go and just do? And I'd love to hear about it as well. So, and I just wanted to let you know that if you do want to revisit any of this content, you can head to my website, which is mumstoppable.com, and sign up to my newsletter. And there's a freebie that you can download, which has all of this information in. It's called the 3 Steps to Mumstoppable Confidence. It's a workbook, so it's got some bits that you can fill in as well. And hopefully that will set you on the path to feeling Mumstoppable.
Thank you so much, Carly. This was so useful. I am so happy that you shared your tips with us. And I think that indeed confidence or the lack of confidence is something that I really struggled with. And I don't think we talk enough about it. Because initially I thought that it's my problem. I'm the only one struggling with this lack of confidence. In my case, I moved when I was 7 months pregnant with my first kid. So I could not go back to my previous job. So I thought that, I lost all my skills, all the things that I knew. And I was basically starting from zero. And I struggled a lot with this lack of confidence. Even though I joined a lot of mompreneurs group, not a lot of them were talking about this. And then I think there is another thing. We see other people, other successful people in our industry, and we think, well, if they can make it, why can't I? Like, why am I different? Is there something wrong with me? So can you share a little bit about this comparison thing? Is there something that help your clients get better at it, or to, just ignore the noise and focus on their thing?
Yeah, it's such a great point. So I think the main thing here, when we talk about comparison, I was reading a book about this the other day, actually, is it's almost like our internal expectations of ourselves. And when we're influenced by things like Instagram, where you're seeing a perfect view of somebody's life, or Facebook, where I mean, I obviously get served business ads because I've got a business profile on there, but I get served ads about people who made 6 figures in their first year in business. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not making any money, so this is never going to work. And oh my gosh, I'm a failure. People are making 6 figures already. What am I doing wrong? And that's totally normal. I think it's normal to have this comparisonitis. But I think what you need to remember is that, particularly on social media, that's somebody's perfect. That's a window into their perfect. They're showing you what they want to show you, right? They're not showing you the days when they are cross with their kids and are shouting and are missing meetings, and you have paper everywhere and the house isn't clean. That's totally different. That's behind closed doors. And I think the beauty of the report that I mentioned, the peanut report, the state of invisibility, is you can see on there quite clearly that 93% of mums feel like their identity is minimized and 72% of mums feel invisible. And I think those sorts of instances are where you get glimmers of truth. There's another stat, I think I might have the figure wrong, but it's about 90% of mums in the UK feel like they're expected to work like they have no children and mother like they have no job, for example. But you would never hear a mum say that. You'd never hear them say that out loud. So I think it's about acknowledging that what you're seeing isn't always a true representation of somebody's life. And also focus on yourself, which is a really hard thing as a mum because we're expected to self-sacrifice all the time. You never do anything for yourself as a mum, really. It's rare, I would say, maybe not never. But this is about focusing on you and what are your expectations of yourself and make them realistic. You're in control of your life. Don't worry about anyone else. I say this to my kids all the time. Don't worry about anyone else. Worry about you. Focus on you. You're the benchmark. No one else is. And I think that's what's important. It's about focusing on you and spending time working on yourself and your confidence and your challenges rather than focusing on everybody else. And that's key. And I think that's what I try to do with Mumstoppable is bring it back to the individual. So the podcast is about you as a woman. I know you're a mum, and there are millions of podcasts that tell you how to mum, but that's fine. This is not what Mumstoppable is about. This is about working on you as a woman. And that will make you a better mum, because when you're a better person and you're happier in yourself and you're more confident, you're going to be a better mum and you're going to be a better employee or better businesswoman. But you need to spend that time focusing on you first. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, absolutely. Like focusing on you is not selfish. Actually, it's going to be beneficial for you, for your family, for your clients, for everyone else. And to be honest, I think I got this normalized a little bit when I actually started to have weekly conversations with someone that became my biz bestie, because we started
Yes.
as accountability buddies for a specific project.
Uh-huh.
But then we continued to meet on a weekly basis and then sharing, our thoughts, our ideas, opinions, and things like that. Our life in general, we realized that even though there is an ocean between us, our struggles are similar. We are going
Yeah.
through similar things. And this really, really helped me knowing that I am not alone. There is not something wrong with me. This is just
No.
the season that we are in, and
Yeah.
we have to honor it and do our best. Also, I can relate to what you said as an introvert. I am an introvert as well. And one of the best things that I've learned from one of my mentors is she taught me to be who I am and show more of
Mm-hmm.
that. Because up until
Yeah.
then, I thought that I really need to be that loud person, the outspoken, the extrovert. And oh boy,
Mm-hmm.
this is so tiring to pretend to be someone else. Yes. And even you mentioned this creating an alter ego. I think for me, that would be tiring because it would be
Yes.
pretending to be someone else. But if this works for you,
Absolutely.
that's totally fine. I mean, we are not similar, right? We need to try and, as you said, test whatever works
Exactly.
best for us.
Yeah.
And I don't hear a lot of people saying that it's okay if you fail. And this
Yeah.
is something that we should say more often,
Mm,
because everyone only celebrates success. But
yeah.
what about those failures that actually lead to success? How about
Exactly.
celebrating that?
And especially when you're a mum, I think with your kids, I'm very conscious now that I don't just say well done to my kids when they come home with a certificate. I'll say well done to them for trying in that, competition or entering in the first place, because that's where it stems from a lot of the time. It's those when we're kids, we're just rewarded for being successful all the time. And it's not about that. Like you say, it's about the trying and the failing and the learning. And the failures they're not just okay. The failures are important because that's how we learn. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yes, and sometimes those failures are just preparing you for what's next. Because otherwise,
Exactly.
maybe you couldn't handle the success or whatever you
Yes.
were trying to get. I really love the 20 minutes of insane courage. I really love that because, again, I think, or at least this is what I did. I was waiting to be more confident, to be more courageous, but without
Yes.
taking action. I was buying courses, memberships, and things like that, and I was hiding behind those, thinking that, well, I'm working on my confidence, I am learning, but I was not applying, I was not implementing. So it's very important to take action. It's not enough just to learn, it's not enough to know one thing if you don't
Yeah.
implement it. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you were here today with us. I think a lot of moms can learn from you. Tell us again the name of your podcast, and then I will also put the link to your freebie in the comments and the rest of your links as well.
Thank you so much. So it's called Mumstoppable. So like unstoppable, but with mum at the start. Mumstoppable. That's the name of the podcast. And that's the website as well. So mumstoppable.com. Thank you so much for having me on as well. I've so enjoyed it. It's been really good. So thank you.
My pleasure, Carly, and thank you.